today, I'm sure, and they bring those cars out onto the front stretch. They'll get them all out in the front stretch before we go green.
We'll watch for the starter, Sean Gibbs of Burlington, Ontario. It is Ranger on the right, Fitzpatrick on the left, and here we go. We have green flag. This is the NAPA Auto Parts Pro 100 here in Montreal. And that gamble is paying off. Now he's got to give it up. He's got to give it up. He's got to wait until everybody clears, so that's a big mistake early by JR Fitzpatrick.
That definitely will hurt him. You saw the contact going down into corner number 1, and JR Fitzpatrick really has to get on the gas now and try and catch up. Oh, look, we got problems deeper in the field.
Caitlin Johnson in the 01, the 21-year-old out of Orangeville gets loose. As we say, it's very technical back here.
Well, you got the air pressures are still down. The tires are very cold. You got to tiptoe through the tulips at least for the first 4 or 5 corners to get the thing up to operating temperature.
Number of drivers doing double duty. There's a very beat-up race car, the Pizza 01 of Caitlin Johnson. She just came out of a rough ride in the 1600 series, the race that ran just before the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series. And here comes Simone to the inside of Thompson.
Very, very strong move down the inside by Anthony Simone.
Looks like Thompson may fight him off, though. But Simone, I was talking to him in the pits a little bit earlier. He says he's very happy with the way this car races. Would like a little extra power, but who wouldn't?
So here they go into the Dodge hairpin for the very first time as the yellow has come out, as they'll go and pick up the car of Caitlin Johnson. And here's the start, and a very big mistake. The blue car on the outside, the 84 of JR Fitzpatrick.
JR got down in the corner just a little bit too deep. The 27 was with him side by side. They both wiggled under braking contact, sending the 84 of Fitzpatrick into the emergency exit.
And that is a huge break, as we say, for Jason Bowles as he looks to move up, and he inherits that second position.
And he will start alongside the 27 of Andrew Ranger for this restart, which is huge for Bowles. Side-by-side restarts every time we go back to green here in the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series.
Here's a great look right there.
Bowles.
Down into the corner. You've seen them wiggle side by side, a little bit of contact, and JR had to go through the escape route.
Well, now they've gone over. The crews have arrived on the scene to pick up Caitlin Johnson, and you mentioned the fact that she was in that 1600 series. She goes from an 1,100-pound car with 100 horsepower to 3,300 pounds and 550 horsepower. We're under yellow early here in Montreal. Welcome back to Montreal, the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series presented by Mobil 1, the NAPA Autopro 100. Vic Roeder along with Billy Rouse and Dave Bradley. Todd Lewis is pit side. And, you know, we talked about this big mistake made by JR Fitzpatrick. Well, he catches a very big break now because we didn't complete a lap. They'll revert back to the starting grid.
Absolutely. One of the great rules here in NASCAR Canadian Tire Series. Go back to the last completed lap. Well, we did not complete a lap on the start. JR gets a huge break and will get back up beside the 27 of Andrew Ranger.
Yeah, the difference between this series and maybe some of the other series that carry the NASCAR name, one scoring loop for the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series, a consistent call race after race, depending on the size of the racetrack. It doesn't really matter. It just means that we always go back to the last fully completed lap. They
have Caitlin Johnson's Pizza Dodge on the hook. Let's take a look back as they come up. This is an upgrade. I mean, actually, the course comes up, and I'm not sure if she got touched a little bit in the back, maybe, and that spun her in.
That's a heavy hit. You see the 55 of Dexter Stacey did a little dirt running out in the grass as well, but he hung on to it and managed to keep it off the wall.
Dexter Stacey from Kanawaki, Quebec, one of the 10 Quebec drivers. So Caitlin Johnson, who had a DNF in Toronto, 19th at Mossport, and she's out early here in Montreal. Todd?
Yeah, tough break for Caitlin Johnston, who competed earlier in an open-wheel F1600 race. Actually got bounced out of that one as well as she'd moved from 15th to 9th. As you mentioned, guys, this will be a complete restart. It's a huge break for JR Fitzpatrick, who will line back up alongside Andrew Ranger on the front row for the restart. He basically gets a mulligan, a do-over, to see if he can complete that pass. Back further in the field in 5th place, DJ Kennington, well, not too pleased about it because he would have gained a few spots. JR would have been back. He's thinking about it. Big championship picture. And Kerry Mix as well, somebody else to watch in 2nd row on the restart. He's been on the podium for 3 straight years. He'd like to make it 4.
Yeah, Kerry Mix, a winner here in 2007. The lights are still on the pace car. Means it'll go one more. We'll come back with the restart. lights on the pace car are out as the field of 34 makes its way around the Dodge hairpin. And this is what happened moments ago, the first time they came across the start-finish line. And just, in fact, you thought both of them were a little hot.
Absolutely. Both cars heavy under brake and sliding. They just touched. JR got the worst of it. Even the 27 almost got off into the grass, but a huge break for JR. He should go buy a lottery ticket tonight.
Absolutely. He gets a big break as they make their way up this long back straight. And we're looking for the number 9 of Mark Dilley. You thought you didn't see him for a moment, did you?
No, I didn't see him. He was supposed to line up beside the 17 of DJ Kennington, and he's not there for this restart. So he wasn't involved in that incident with the 0-1 of Caitlin Johnson. Obviously, that happened a lot further back, but Mark Dilley was under the weather. We talked to his crew chief in the pits, and Dilley wasn't feeling well, so maybe that's the reason he's dropped to the back.
And you're right, he hasn't. He's out. Mark Dilley, the 40-year-old from Barrie in the XI Dodge. We're going to try it again as we get this NAPA Autopro 100 underway. It's race 10 of 13, the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series presented by Mobile One, and we're racing again.
Down into turn one more time. They both drive it in deep. The 27 loose Jeep.
Oh, and then Fitzpatrick plays a little smarter. He gives it up to him. So it is Ranger, followed by Fitzpatrick, followed by Bowles.
Almost 3 wide in a couple spots coming off that turn 2, and here comes Simone locking up the right front tire, but he hangs on to it. That's got to get the blood pressure up inside the 95.
Anthony Simone out of Holland Landing coming off that second in Edmonton, his best result in the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series. But we are clean so far, completing lap 1 here in Montreal.
But for how long? If you look back to just last race, the 27 of Andrew Ranger, the 84 of JR Fitzpatrick did get together in that race, and Andrew Ranger ended up in the tire wall. He managed to get back through the field and win, but will it happen here again in Montreal?
Under the bridge through turns 8, 9, and now heading down towards the Dodge hairpin.
Fitzpatrick's able to hang right tight on the back of that 27 car all the way around the circuit. Bowles hanging back, watching the show just in case something happens.
And you can see Kerry Mix in the 02, the Dickies Beyond Digital Imaging Ford, currently in 4th place, followed by DJ Kennington.
Looked like JR got into the back of Andrew in the Dodge hairpin, and now he's right in that draft, tucked in behind in the slipstream, looking to pull out and make a move, but he's going on the outside. Ranger defending his position.
He's just faking him out right now, making him look through the mirrors. Both hard over the curb. JR Fitzpatrick gets a great drive off the corner, but the 27 maintains the lead.
And we'll have to watch that curb, that sawtooth. It's thrown off so many racers in all kinds of series, but here it's about just managing them. You have to run them. It's about how you manage them.
Absolutely. They will take suspension parts out if you keep clobbing them real hard all day long, but most of the guys set the cars up that they use the curbs. It unloads the car so it can turn in and then use the outside curb to get drive off the corner.
Billy, we've talked about the temperature, both the ambient temperature and the track temperature here. How much is that going to affect the cars and probably more importantly the drivers?
Well, because we're in a man-made island here, there's not a lot of natural wind. It's a windless day to begin with, but in this closed confines of these street circuits, there's not a lot of air moving around, so the air gets hotter and hotter, and we've got a pass for the lead. JR Fitzpatrick hard down the inside of the 27 Ranger. Who's going to outbrake who?
Under the bridge into 8 and 9, and Fitzpatrick has him.
Both of these drivers doing double duty, racing in the Nationwide Series a little bit later on today, and Fitzpatrick was actually clear going into that corner, so it makes you think that Ranger may be saving his stuff till later on in this race.
Let's talk about what they want to save most, and that's brakes, and especially now. You know, they talk about, Robin Buckturl said earlier, you know, you want to float through the corners. Right now, they're putting an awful lot of pressure on those brakes early.
There's no floating right now, Vic. These guys are running all out like they're qualifying laps. The other thing we got to talk about is this point battle. Is 16 points between JR Fitzpatrick and DJ Kennington. Bonus points by Fitzpatrick now for leading a lap.
And Kennington is trying to make the move on Mix, and he just sort of tucks himself in behind again. And you're right, when you're talking about championship and 16-point lead, leading the race, picks up 5 bonus points now for JR Fitzpatrick.
And it goes from 16 points to 21 just like that on the strength.